What is going on, legendary humans? Ryan Magic here, and in this video I'm going to be sharing 5 reasons why corporates struggle to start a business successfully. Now, if you're here and you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you click that button to hold yourself accountable to being in this journey of personal development. Let's do it together and let's get into the video. So I call this corporatitis, right? It's a disease, corporatitis. And the reason that it's a big deal is because of the difference between being in corporate and business. It is huge. And we're going to go through 5 points. The first one is analytical versus mess. Now note, the key word here is start. Why do they struggle to start in business? Corporates are actually pretty solid at running a larger business. And I'm using a generalization here, but when you go into university, you are taught to follow the rules, to be thorough, to reference check, to be able to have that academic mindset, which is about doing things methodically. Now, when you start a business, it is the absolute opposite. Being analytical and perfectionistic and over perfect just completely strangles the required action to break through in business. And I've coached over 1,000 people that are starting to start small businesses, and a big chunk of them have come from the corporate arena. And I will always back an 18-year-old dude or dudette that are messy as hell, that even if they don't even have the best common sense, they literally just come in and follow the steps because they don't have that intervening analytical mind that intercepts and overthinks all of the steps. They just do the steps. And it requires a certain level of mess to succeed when you're starting out, because to be able to get runs on the board in your business initially, 80% of your time needs to be spent marketing and selling. And when corporates go in, they spend 7 years just planning out one little marketing initiative. It's over formal. Well, this is the difference. It's essentially the way that a corporate usually starts a business is like a stock photo versus a selfie. That's the difference. Now, what gets traction online, what people are interested in seeing are selfies. But corporates are stock photos. They're perfectly prim and proper. They have to show up to work perfectly. We know startups, it's kind of like wearing the shirt from the day before. I'm using a metaphor. You don't have to be a slob to be successful as a startup. But it's wearing the shirt from the day before. There's a stain on it. They're just there, tired, messy, getting it done. Launch, next day, launch. Oh, have you thought about this? Yeah, let's try it. Launch out there, see how it goes. And corporates struggle so hard with this point. So my invitation to you, I hope that if you're watching this, you are a corporate and you really do want to start a successful business. You've got to ditch this analytical mind and realize that the politics that exist and the scrutiny of the quality of the way that things are presented when you're in corporate needs to be thrown in the bin to succeed messily as a startup business. Now, as the business matures and develops, you need that extra layer of rigor and professionalism to be able to standardize what you've built when it goes beyond 2, 5, 10 million. The way that the business operates needs to be more standard, and standardization requires that level of analytical, perfectionistic style. But when you start up, you never even get to a form or a point where you can start to standardize things, because you need to have that grunt that gets the thing off the ground. And to do that, you just need to be a dirty, messy, make it happen philosophy and approach. So that's the first one. That's so important. The second one, and this might trigger a few people. Entitlement. So I've got a theory that the best way for someone to weed out entitlement is to start and grow a successful business. I have never met a successful founder, someone that started their own business from scratch, that's entitled. It's like I've worked with a lot of people, done a lot of personal development. I've literally never met a successful founder who is entitled, expects things handed to them, given to them. Because entitlement essentially means that you assume that you deserve more than what you give. And what I love about business is there is no bias. It's not like there's this big hand in business that's like the god of business that just likes some people more than others and go, hey, you get the success and you don't. It doesn't work like that. It's objective. It's based on market demand and your ability to create something that reflects the market's demand. It's based on your work ethic and your courage. And so you learn very quickly in business that nothing's handed to you. And there's two categories where I've found from working with a bunch of corporates, they struggle with entitlement. One is where the buck stops, and that's responsibility. In your own business, you're responsible for everything. Mistake happens from an employee, it's your fault. Everything's your fault. Someone does something illegal in your business, comes back to bite you. Everything is your responsibility. In corporate, because a lot of the time the culture is built off fear to keep people performing and it's hierarchical, what happens is people try to deflect blame onto others. And that's part of this political landscape that exists in a corporate environment. When you're in business, it doesn't matter if you can't deflect something onto your employees. You can't deflect something onto the industry. I mean, you either win or you lose. You either have money in your bank and enough money to put food on the table, or you don't. And there's like, you can give excuses all day. You're not going to get paid if you don't rise to the challenge. In your corporate, you get paid no matter what. So there's that entitlement there. Responsibility. The buck stops at you as an entrepreneur. The second important thing is that financially, so you can blame kind of like the effectiveness of different things that you're executing on in the business and try to push it out. What's going on, dude? I've got the dog here that's just supervising this scene. Then we have financially as well. It's so important for you to realize that like when you jump into business, there's going to be a set period of time. I'm going to build on this with 0.5. I'm going to build on this with 0.5. But the reason that people struggle when they come out of corporate into business is because they believe that they deserve to get better results than what they actually create. But you create all your results. Exactly where you're at is a reflection of what you deserve. And that's a tough one to grasp because like if you're losing in business, and I've lost at times and I've won at times, both are my fault. Exactly 100% all on me because I'm the one that's running it. And that's the way that it always is. In corporate, people don't approach it in the same way with that same philosophy. All right, step 3 is a funny one. Won't eat shit. Why do corporates struggle? Because they won't eat shit. So you got to literally physically eat shit when you start a business. Not really, but pretty close to it. Everything at the start before you've put runs on the board and in terms of making enough sales and getting enough revenue in to be able to outsource and delegate and hire people, you got to do all the shit. You got to clean the toilets. You got to do the whole gamut. And when someone's been in corporate and the longer they've been in it, the harder it is to transition and successfully start a business because there's a dissonance, there's a separation between, because let's think of Suits, the TV show, and how they put all the juniors through absolute hell when they're starting out. Get this to me by tomorrow. Do this, do that. Because the people that are higher up have now earned the right to not do the shit kicker stuff, to do the initial things that you have to do, the grunt work. Whereas when you start a business, you got to do all of that stuff. You got to do the admin, you got to check your email, like all the emails, you got to manage and supervise the whole operation across marketing, sales, delivery, operations, and finance. The whole thing is your responsibility, admin, accounting, reconciling transactions, you're doing it all. And that's eating shit. And corporates don't like that. The further you go in corporate, you earn the right to do up your tie, afford a better suit, and not have to do the crap. And this feeds into the entitlement as well, but you have to be willing to eat shit. And that's a really, really tough one for corporates to get into. And you literally, like, what's the solution to this? The solution here is you need to be able to say, okay, I'm starting from scratch here. It's like I'm starting a whole new industry. I'm going from being an engineer to an architect, or I'm going from being a doctor to whatever, working to an executive assistant. You're going from one extreme industry to a whole new one. You've got to learn the basics, the ropes. You've got to go right back to square one. It's kind of like a metaphor for me recently, going from exercise, running, weightlifting, etc. into yoga. Speak about eating shit. I'm in there and there's just like old ladies in there that are just crushing it, and I'm sweating like a fat pig because I can't move this rigid body, and I'm like learning to get it going. But I got to go from scratch, and it's annoying because I felt fucking like I'm dominating when I go for a run a marathon or a half marathon. It's boom, easy. Then I go in a yoga studio and I'm eating shit. But you have to be willing to go through that phase to rebuild up the competency where you're starting to see recognition for where you're at and noticing the progress. But you got to be willing to go back to square one and eat shit. And I've had to repeat this process. I'm repeating it at the moment. Me right now doing this is in a way, it's eating shit. Like I'm starting, this is a new space for me. I'm going back to square one and I'm eating shit at the moment. And I'm willing to. It's all good. Because I've done it before and I'll do it again. But it's not as easy as the first time. I expected it the first time. Then I get used to having a team that does everything for me. And then I've got to go back and do it again from scratch. And then I got to eat shit again. And everyone does, every entrepreneur does. So when you're starting a business, you could buy a business and avoid it, but you got to, starting a business, no. Next one, lifestyle attachments. In other words, willing to look stupid. Willing to look stupid. So let's just say, look stupid. And what happens is when a corporate jumps into, by the time, usually a corporate has been doing corporate for long enough that they've established some sense of norm. You got a predictable income, you can save money, you drive a certain car, you're in a certain rental, and you've worked hard to get to that point because working in corporate is still damn hard work. And so you save money, you went through living in a crap rental or like living at home for ages, then you moved out to a cheap rental, then you go into a more expensive rental, then you're buying a place that's nice. You start with a crap car, then you get a medium car, and then you get quite a nice car. You're eating out, eating 2-minute noodles at uni, eating shit, in other words. But this is lifestyle wise, this is work wise. And then you go and you start eating good quality food, living in nicer areas. And these are things that's just normal to normalize a lifestyle. And whenever we lose something, it feels like sacrifice. It feels painful. We feel like we're going backwards. It challenges an innate biological nervous system response of losing status. And status for us means safety. If we've got good status, we feel safe. In the tribal dynamics of our nervous system, we feel safe. And you're giving up status. You have to be willing to give up status. Because when you go into business and you start a business, there's a timeline where you either burn out financially or you burn out energetically. It might take you 6 or 12 months to even start breaking even and making sales. So you've got a ticking time bomb when you start. And if you're really serious about making a business work, that time bomb's got a set period of like, it's got a timer, it's gonna run out. But the point at which it's gonna run out will be, you'll have a longer time to make the business work if you're more intelligent with your financial decisions, with your lifestyle. And if you're not, and you're not willing to sacrifice, then the time frame becomes less and less. Now, if you've only given yourself 3 months to break through in a business and that's all you're willing to do, I'd pretty much say give it up. It's like, you got to be willing to commit for life and to give yourself the greatest timeline before you then have to go back to work just to be in a steady rhythm and have some consistency and recover energetically, or to rebuild finances. It just makes sense to pull that time frame out to be as long as possible by being smart with your lifestyle. And so a lot of people aren't willing to say, you know what, I'm just going to go and drive a crappier car. I'm actually going to move into another house, or get a housemate into my house, or whatever it is. Just be willing to surrender the need to look good for a period of time. Again, don't feel guilty about this because it's a biological desire to have status. It makes us feel safe in the tribe. The more status we have, the safer we're going to be, the more other people would protect us. Resources equal safety. But you have to be able to surrender it. And this last one's massive. These all feed into each other if you haven't noticed. Pressure on results. See, what I want you guys to understand is that when you're in corporate, there's so much predictability. There's a lot of predictability, and over a long period of time, you have a guarantee to save a certain amount of money and have a certain element of a good quality of life. So you're working in an $80,000, $100,000, $150,000 job, 10 years, you can have paid off half a house. It's pretty great that you can just do that from being in corporate for a period of time. And I had lots of friends when I was early on in my entrepreneurial journey, maybe when I was like 20 or 22, and I had friends that were between 20 and 25 years old that had been in corporate, and they'd saved 150 grand, 200 grand, because of just consistency. They've got that ability to repeat. The dynamic in the way that finances changes in business is completely different. It's the wild, wild west. See, a corporate is so less willing to forego an investment or of savings than what an entrepreneur is. Because an entrepreneur knows that they could make $1 million in a year and catch up for 15 years working in corporate, which is what I know. Like I've had some years where I've made close to $5 million in a year. I can catch up. That could be someone else's 20, 30 years in corporate. So I'm okay if I just go, cool, I'm just going to spend $500,000 on this or $100,000 on this, because I know I can catch up for it. I don't care if I go a period of time where I'm not saving anything, or I'm even moving backwards and I'm losing money. I'm okay with that, because the way that business works is you fast track. You can actually do what someone in corporate would do in 20 years, you can do it in a year or 2 years. But to get to that point, you've got to be willing to forego that security, predictability, and consistency of saving money for a period of time. You need to be willing to lose money for a period of time in order to get that big hurrah. But what happens is corporates go, this is the way I've done things for a period of time. I like the safety, but I want to be able to have financial freedom, but I want to be able to make $1 million in business. But you can't have both. You can't just have like the safety of corporate and the big return of business. The big return of business comes in the sacrifice. Hey, I'm going to invest my 20 years safety, and I'm going to then be able to make the 20 years in 1 year or 2 years. And then in 10 years from now, because I've been in business consistently, improving my skills, investing, reinvesting, just going through crap, resistance, challenge, and understanding how to win, because I've lost so many times. Then from that place, they get big wins, big returns quickly. But what happens with corporates is they put pressure on results. They expect that big win to happen very quickly, because there's a part of them that's going, oh my gosh, I feel so unsafe. Holy crap, I'm not making money. Holy crap, where's my 10K monthly check? Holy crap, what is going on? It needs to go through. Oh my gosh, what my parents and friends said I was stupid for doing this. I haven't seen the return yet. What's going on? Oh my gosh, this isn't gonna work. Whereas a business owner and an entrepreneur goes, I'm in it for life. I know I'm gonna be making millions of dollars. If it happens in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, I'm just gonna get better and better with my competency and character. Competency with the skills and character of who I am to be able to approach and navigate business gets better every year. And every single year, my ability to leverage my skills to make money gets better. My ability to work hard and be courageous gets better. Essentially, my comfort zone gets bigger, so I can do sales calls now. I never used to be able to. Now I can pitch 100K offers. In the past, I couldn't even pitch a $1,000 offer. So I've got a greater potential and leverage to get quick results because my character is better. I'm also got better sales skills because I've improved on it over the last 5 years. So you get better and better and better, but you've got the long-term focus. The pressure on results creates a short-term focus, which doesn't create the room and space for growth and improvement. And this is where corporates fail. So if this is resonating, drop a like on this video. It means the world to me, and it helps the YouTube algorithm go out there. Let's summarize this. You've got to be messy as hell in business. You got to drop that, try to be messy. Purposely misspell words in your ads. You literally go back into the word where you've written there and you spell there the wrong way on purpose to be able, because it's more important to change your relationship with perfectionism and being analytical than it is to actually have everything neat and tidy, because it doesn't fucking matter. I wrote a best-selling book, 420 pages in 2 months. I got a school teacher to edit it. There's spelling mistakes the whole way through it. That book probably made me $3 million. Does your academic teacher, way that they graded it at university, does it matter? No. I got $3 million. If you haven't launched the book after 2 years because you're trying to make it perfect, you lose in business. Lose, you go, you don't get the results. And this is coming from a place of, I want you to get the results. And you have to be willing to forego that analytical stuff. Be messy. The second one is, you've got to get rid of the entitlement and realize that the buck stops at you with the responsibility of the quality of your work and the money. You're on the line, and there's no one else you can push it to. You're the one that's in control, which means you can influence your results for the good, and you're the one that's at fault when it goes wrong. Thirdly, be willing to eat shit. Be willing to do the crap tasks. Be willing to get in there all messily, type everything out, everything yourself, roll your sleeves up. It's time to put in the hard work and do the crap right from the start. Shed off any expectations or ideas that you have that deserve a certain level of delegation. At the start, you don't. You're starting from scratch, just like I am at the moment. Made millions of dollars. Guess what? I eat shit. 4, lifestyle attachments. You've got to be willing to extend your capability to have a crack at your startup business by mitigating costs in your personal life. And I'm not saying don't have a car. I'm saying just be willing to drive one that's less cool. I'm not saying don't have a roof over your head. Just see where you can edge and decrease your cash flow out so that you've got more money to last longer in business. And lastly, you've got to understand that if you're going to go into business, just commit for life. Just commit for life. You're going to lose savings. You're going to go backwards before you go forward. Simple as that. Like, you are going to lose money. You're going to lose it. Not only are you not making the upside of what you're foregoing by getting out of corporate, like that consistent 2K a month saving or 5K a month saving or whatever it is, not only do you sabotage that, but you actually go backwards for a period of time. If you're not willing to do that, again, business is not the domain that you're going to succeed in. And that's 1 foot on one side, 1 foot on the other side. You're better off just being all in corporate or all in business. Or what you can do as a option is you can actually say, give yourself a amount. Okay, I'm willing to go $40,000 backwards, and I'm willing to try for 3 years. Now, for whatever reason, in 3 years, I haven't started having a positive ROI, then I'll go back to corporate and I know I gave it a crack. And you needed that thing. Some people, that's not going to be enough time to make it. They could definitely still make it. They would just have to forego more resistance and hardship in order to get there. But know your limits if that's what you want to do as well. But you've got to detach from this desperation to see instant returns. It's never going to happen. So, they're the 5 reasons. If you got value from this video, like it. I'd like to know for you, what do you think could have been added to this? I want to know your opinion, what I shared. What would you add to this? What else do you think corporates need to know? Or what do you think you need to know as a corporate to be able to succeed in a startup business? Drop it in the comments, and make sure if you haven't subscribed yet, you click the subscribe button so you can hold yourself accountable by getting the new videos that come out daily on this channel to keep yourself in that zone of high performance and living your dream life. That's it for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one.